One. Boy, aren't remakes the best? Movies, songs. Oh, and the Phillies remade the Philly Phanatic, and I hate it. Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago. Today on the show, we're going to talk all about a fan who put the X back in XFL with a polite little stunt today that involved a table, some fire, and his crotch. We have to talk about the Mavericks and the Hawks because that was a very interesting game. And of course, the 42-year-old super duper backup Zamboni driver who managed to win a game for the Hurricanes. Okay, we'll get to it. Stick with us, friends, because sports starts now. And welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. For those of you that are new to the program, hello, hi, howdy. I know I say that every episode, but I always love it when we have new people here. So welcome to the show, where we talk about all the previous news and information from the last week and talk about some insight into the next week. If you like what you hear, you can find us on Soundcloud, Twitter, YouTube, and that thing called Facebook. I'm wearing Facebook Blue today, as should you, my friends. Facebook Blue Sunday. Is that a thing? We're going to make this a thing. Every Sunday, I'm wearing... No, I can't do it. I'm sorry. When the Jets play, I can't wear blue. All right, we're getting way off topic. I had a great weekend. What did I do? I had nothing going on. For once, we didn't leave town. No vacations. It was cool. It was chill. Went for a walk today. I did shopping with my wife. That's kind of fun sometimes. Not really. Went to Zoe's Kitchen for lunch. Now that is always a good time. Cool. What was I talking about? Let's move on from my weekend and talk about your weekend of sports information. Starting with NBA basketball because it's back. All-Star game's over. Let's get towards the rest of the season. All right, lots of exciting games from this weekend. Pacers beating the Knicks 106-98. Okay, that was not one of the more exciting games, I swear. Let me move this out of my way here. Sorry, fans watching me on YouTube. By the way, you can watch us on YouTube in case you didn't know. All right, Cavaliers, they got a win over the Wizards 113-108. Mavericks, they got a win over the Magic 122-106. Suns losing to the Raptors 118-101. No surprises there. Raptors having a great season right now. Thunder, they get a win over the Nuggets. CP3, 29 points for OKC. CP3 and OKC. Gotta love it. Celtics, they had a wild weekend, winning one against the Timberwolves. Celtics beating the Timberwolves 127-117. Gordon Hayward, 29 points for him. About time he did something in Boston. Spurs going to win for the Jazz 113-104. Pelicans beat the Trailblazers 128-115. Zion is looking like a stud out there. 25 points in that game. Lakers got a win over the Grizzlies 117-105. Now that was for Friday. Let's scroll up here. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's move over to Saturday. Nets, they got a win over the Hornets, 115-86. Kings beating the Clippers, 112-103. Mavericks and Hawks. We're going to get to this because this game was a little controversial. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. Moving on. Heat get a win over the Cavaliers, 124-105. Suns beat the Bulls, 112-104. The Bucks beating the 76ers, 119-98. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, 31 points, 17 rebounds. Rockets, they get a win over the Jazz, 120-110. Lots of exciting stuff there. Wizards right now are losing to the Bulls? This is real? They could be tied in the standings. Wizards losing to the Bulls, 76-58. Spurs are currently losing to the Thunder, 75-63. Lakers got a wild win over the Celtics, 114-112. Jason Tatum with 41 points. Take that. LeBron still won. I guess it doesn't matter. And the Timberwolves, they lost to the Nuggets 128-116. Raptors, they get a win over the Pacers 127-81. 2 games tonight. You have the Pelicans taking on the Warriors, and you get the Pistons and the Trail Blazers. Looking at those standings now, the Bucks still on top and looking unreachable. Well, maybe not so much. The Raptors are really good right now. They've 9-1 in their last 10. They were on that huge winning streak for a while. They did lose just recently. Bucks on top with 48 wins, followed by the Raptors. Celtics behind them at 39. Heat have 36 wins. 76ers with 35 wins. Pacers at 33. Nets at 26. Magic at 24. Now, a week ago, the Magic and the Wildcats, the Magic and the Wizards were really close in the standings. Wizards not looking so hot right now and not looking deserving in a playoff spot. Now, granted, the Magic's 24-32, and they're in the playoff race right now, which is a little sad, but at least they deserve that. No, they don't deserve it. They're just terrible. All right, Hornets, Bulls, Detroit Pistons. Yes, they are all somewhat still in it. The Knicks have 17 wins. The Hawks have 17 wins. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're in dead last right now with 15 wins. By the way, the Knicks are 5-5 in their last 10. Yeah, they lost the last 3. I get that. But they're at least keeping up. This might be the best Knicks team in like 2 years. So maybe 3. Who knows? Let's move over to the West now. Lakers, of course, are on top. They have won 5 straight games, looking pretty darn good. Nuggets are in second, Clippers in third. Then you got the Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, Mavericks, and the Memphis Grizzlies at 28-28. Portland Trail Blazers are trying to catch up. They're 25-32, so they're about 3 games behind, 3.5, I think. Spurs with 24 wins, the Pelicans at 24, Kings at 23, Suns at 23. The Timberwolves are at 16, and the Golden State Warriors, they are at 12. They've lost 5 straight. So Golden State's in prime time. They're in the great spot to get the first round pick, but you never know. Pelicans stole it from everybody last year with the Zion sweepstakes. And since, by the way, they're 7-3 in their last 10. Zion's looking pretty darn good. They could push their way to a playoff spot here, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I still like the Lakers. I think they're the best team out of this whole bunch. Love to see like a Lakers-Bucks matchup right now, but I think LeBron's going to give everybody, really Anthony Davis is going to give everybody a run for their money. But we'll see what happens. Let's take a look at next week's schedule. All right, so a couple games that you're going to want to look out for in this coming week. For Monday, you got Memphis and LA, 2 playoff-bound teams. Obviously, the Clippers are fantastic. Memphis, not so much, but still somewhat entertaining. That's the best game you got for Monday, I think. Going over to Tuesday now, you got the Bucks and the Raptors. Both of these teams are poised for greatness right now. Toronto obviously being the defending champs. The Bucks looking like they could be the best team in the East, maybe the best team in the league right now, which is why I would certainly turn my attention towards that matchup. Zion versus LeBron for the first time, I suppose. New Orleans, LA, that could happen. That's the only other game for Tuesday. When you move over to Wednesday, some of the games you see, you have Memphis and Houston. You have Boston playing Utah. San Antonio and Dallas. That could be fun just because they're both in the same state, I suppose. Neither of them are really that good. And if that were exciting, then New York, Philadelphia on Thursday might be exciting for you. It shouldn't be. The Knicks are going to get their butts kicked. Even Golden State and LA on a normal year, that would be a great matchup, But this season, Golden State nobody's healthy, so boring. And then Friday, you got the Clippers and the Nuggets at 10:30 at night. I would watch that game, and so should you. You should absolutely watch that game too. All right, so I did say we were going to talk about the Mavericks Hawks game excitement, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to see, I'll show you the highlights here, courtesy of YouTube. I don't know if you've ever heard of that website, but apparently they got some good stuff, videos and whatnot. And not a lot of porn either. Only a little bit. I'm just kidding. I don't watch porn on here, I swear. Okay, what am I talking about? See, now I distracted myself with my own joke. So Hawks and Mavericks, as you can see from what you can see on the screen, there's 1:09 left on the clock. There's Mavericks tied up here, so it's going to be 107 for each. Now, this is where things get dicey. So there's a goaltending call here. The whistle's blown. Wait, is that it? That's not it. There's going to be a goaltending call here. And then there's a putback. Yeah, okay. So, as you saw, so goaltending was called. And John Collins for the Hawks went up, put it in the basket with the putback. The whistle was blown before the basketball went into the net. Okay? So the goaltending called. Collins goes up, puts the ball in. The refs then say, oh, wait, it wasn't goaltending, and counted the basket and ended the game, even though it was after the whistle. And that was as time was expiring on the clock. That's what gave the Hawks the eventual win. Otherwise, the Mavericks would have gotten the ball back and had a chance to tie the game up, bring it to overtime, all that stuff. Mark Cuban was P.O.'d after this one. So let's see if we can get her highlight here. Now, this is the absolute end of the game. So that could have been a chance right there for Dallas to tie it up or win the game had that ball been ruled dead at the whistle, as it should have been. So a little bit of controversy there. All right, now that I'm done fumbling over myself and this game, let's talk about something I definitely know some stuff about, and that is hockey. All right, so Rangers beat the Hurricanes on Friday, 5-2. Islanders, they got a win over the Red Wings, 4-1. Blackhawks beating the Predators, 2-1. Blues beat the Stars, 5-1. The Brew Crew, Bruins, got a win over the Flames. Huge win for the Bruins, 4-3. Wild beat the Oilers, 5-3. And the Avalanche, they got a win, 1-0. Wow, 1-0 over the Ducks. Those were all of Friday's matchups. We're going to move over to Saturday now. It's going to take forever because for some reason it just has to take that much long. Should we hit it again? No. When in doubt, hit it twice. Sabres, they beat the Penguins 5-2. Not a great weekend for Pittsburgh, and we'll get into the reason why in a second. Capitals, they got a win over the Devils, 3-2. Ovechkin scoring yet again, and Ovechkin, by the way, reached 700 goals this weekend, so congratulations to Ovi. Flyers got a win over the Jets, 4-2. Hurricanes, they beat the Maple Leafs, 6-3. Now, this game was crazy. Hurricanes lost their top two goalies. You only have two goalies on a team at a time, so what do, right? You pull in the designated backup, and every team has one. He's a guy. He could be like an accountant. He could just be like a local guy. He could be, in this case, the Zamboni driver, who happens to also goaltend for fun. This dude, 42 years old, goes out there. His name's Ayers, by the way. Goes out there and stops 8 of 10 shots over 2 periods. Yes, he let in 2 goals. But Hurricanes were up 6-3. They gave him the padding that they needed to win that game. Beat the Maple Leafs in Toronto. It just doesn't get better than that. I got to give the guy credit. Remember, this happened last year too to the Chicago Blackhawks. So congratulations there, because you're never gonna have a better day than that. Canadians beating the Senators 3-0. Rangers, they got a win over the Sharks 4-3. The Coyotes beating the Lightning 7-3. Big win there for Phoenix. Canucks, they get a win over the Bruins 9-3. No, that's not a normal hockey score. Absolutely not a normal hockey score. Toffoli having a great game. 2 goals, 1 assist. New guy in town for the Canucks. And the Golden Knights, they get a win over the Panthers 5-3. Avalanche, they beat the Kings 2-1. And then let's go over to today's games. So I said the Penguins had a pretty miserable weekend. Well, that's partly because they lost to the Sabres, a team you shouldn't lose to, but then lost to the Capitals, allowing them to strike and get into first place. Did I not hit that button? I don't know if I hit that button. There we go. Allowing the Capitals to regain first place. Gosh darn it, I hate you, TJ Oshie. The Flames, they get a win over the Red Wings, 3-1. Blues got a win over the Wild, 2-1. Oh, come on. For some reason, ESPN hates hockey so much, it slows down my computer every time I try to use their website to look at hockey scores. Sabres, they got a win over the Jets 2-1. Stars lose to the Blackhawks. I'm sorry, the Stars beat the Blackhawks 2-1. Islanders finally get a win over the Sharks 4-1. And then the Golden Knights and the Ducks, they have a game tonight, as well as the Oilers and the Kings. Let's take a look at those standings. Over in the Atlantic, the Boston Bruins regain or take hold of first place. They're at 90 points, followed by the Lightning at 85. The Toronto Maple Leafs at 72, Panthers at 70, Sabres at 66, Canadiens at 66, Senators at 53, and congratulations to the Detroit Red Wings. You are officially eliminated from playoff contention at 34 points. In the Metro, the Capitals are on top currently, although they've played one more game than the Penguins, but they're at 82. Penguins are at 80. Flyers are at 77, holding strong in that third spot. They are on a bit of a tear right now, 7-3 in their last 10. Islanders, they're at 76. Hurricanes at 74, Blue Jackets 74, Rangers at 70. Rangers are catching up big right now as well. 3 straight wins. And then you got the Devils at 58. And sorry, I almost forgot here about the West, where things are equally crazy. I mean, the Metro is pretty crazy, but Blues are on top at 80 points, Avalanche at 79, Stars at 78, Jets at 69, Predators at 68, Wild at 65, and the Blackhawks at 62. For the Pacific, you have the Golden Knights are at 74, Canucks at 72, Oilers 71, Coyotes 70, Flames at 68. All those teams are within just a couple points of each other. It's starting to divide a little bit, but give it 1 or 2 games and they can all come right back together. And then you got the Sharks at 56, Ducks at 55, and the Kings at 50. Right now, if I had to pick the team to win it all, last week I said it was the Lightning. I really said it was the Lightning. Now I'm thinking Bruins again. They made some great trades over the week. Oh yeah, trade deadline. We got to get to the trade deadline. Hopefully I don't get cut off this time. Now before we conclude the first part of the show here, we're going to quickly look at these trades. I know I already said that. All right, so let's start from early in the week. Rangers traded Julien Gauthier to the Hurricanes for Joey Kane. Dylan DeMello is going to the Senators from the Jets for a 3rd-round pick. Capitals, they got Brendan Dillon from the Sharks for a 2nd-round pick and a conditional 3rd-round pick. Marco Scandella from the Canadiens went over to the Blues for a 2nd-round pick. Leaves got Dennis Malgin for Mason Marchmont. Golden Knights, they got Alex Martinez from the Kings for 2 2nd-round picks, one in 2020 and one in 2021. Vax Birno from the Senators went over to the Leafs for Aaron Tkachuk and a 6th-round pick next year. Flyers and Rangers making a trade. Jean-Francois Berube go into the Rangers for future consideration. Canadians, they receive Jake Lucchini and Joe Blancy from the Penguins for Phil Varone and Riley Barber. Panthers got Danik Martel from the Lightning for Anthony Greco. Bruins, they got Andrej Keyes from the Ducks for David Backes, Axel Anderson, and a 2020 first-round pick. That's a huge haul. That I'm a little surprised Bruins made that trade. Jets got Cody Eakins from the Golden Knights for conditional 4th-round pick. And just today, the Leafs got Mika Salamaki from the Nashville Predators for Ben Harper. Trade deadline is tomorrow, folks, so there's a lot of players out there, too. Actually, I think there's one trade missing from that week, from that list. I believe the Canadiens traded Kovalchuk to the Capitals. Well, I hate that. Absolutely hate that because I don't like the Capitals. I'm sorry. I gave a shout out to Ovechkin. He deserved 700 goals. It's a big deal. I can't believe they got Kovalchuk. Not that he's, any good anymore, but still, he could have some kind of resurgence, go on a tear right now. I don't know. All right, trade deadline tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. With that being said, commercial break. When we return, what happens when you take a burning table and a man's crotch and just mash them together? That, and we'll talk XFL, so stick with us, friends, because sports, we will be right back. Hello, friends. I'm Nick Drago. Yes, you know me from Sports with Nick Drago. But did you know I had another podcast? It's true. I do. It's called Big Spoon, Little Spoon. Myself and my good buddy Jamie Grum like to discuss, well, everything. Random topics from the future to the Wild West to what the heck are lanternflies. We talk about it all. So if you're interested in some fun and entertaining entertainment, join us on Big Spoon, Little Spoon. We pick a random topic out of a hat. We talk about it, knowing no knowledge of what it's going to be before we pick that topic out of the hat, and then we do a little bit of research, come back and see what we learn. So if you're interested, check us out. Again, it's called Big Spoon, Little Spoon. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting apps. You can find us on YouTube, on the Facebook. You can also email us with ideas that you want us to talk about on the show. Email us at wehateforks@gmail.com. Again, wehateforks@gmail.com. Plus, we got Volume 2 coming out in the new year. So check back at the end of this January. At the end of January, we're going to have some new episodes for you. But you can check out Volume 1 in the meantime right here. Well, not right here, but right now at this moment. Just not after you finish this podcast, then go listen to that one. All right, thanks, friends. Hope you enjoy the rest of this show. But there's another good one out there, too. All right, I'm done now. All right, friends, let's talk about the XFL. Houston beat Tampa Bay 34-27. Tampa Bay, the Vipers actually decided to show up and score some touchdowns. Not many, though. Not many. Phil Walker, by the way, for Houston, having some great play out there. 3 touchdowns, 306 yards. And him and Phillips, what's his first name? Cam Phillips. Him and Cam Phillips have really been connecting. 194 yards for Cam Phillips. So Houston Roughnecks get a win here. They are now 3-0. Dallas, they got a win over Seattle, 24-12. The Battlehawks, St. Louis remains undefeated, being the New York Guardians, 29-9. McGloin, 8 completions on 11 attempts, 84 yards. Not a great day for him. In fact, they barely played the guy. I don't know. There's a big quarterback issue still in this league, but LA, they got a win over the DC Defenders. So DC, who had a great couple weeks so far, fell short today. LA wins 39-9. The real story, though, is the brave fan for the Battlehawks, who really wanted to inspire the crowd before the game. Took a table, lit it on fire, because, of course, if a table isn't interesting, let's just light this whole thing. Let's just light my whole desk on fire right now. Just burn it all up. The dude took a jump onto the table, but he went, instead of like body slamming it or something like that, he went foot first, went right through the middle of the table, and burned his nutsack. And then, wait, what's best is that when you're watching the video, as soon as he does it, he realizes his fatal flaw, grabs his crotch, mostly from behind. It's like the one hand up your butt method, and he starts like skipping away, and people are following him with their cell phones. It's actually funny. The guy tried to look like a real badass. Turns out it looks like a jackass. That being said, speaking of jackasses, how dare they change the Philly Phanatic? Listen, I understand why they did it. Philly had a contract with the company that designed the Phanatic, 35 years. That contract's run up, and at this point, the designers of the Phanatic could, in fact, sue the Phillies. And so to avoid this whole thing altogether, the Phillies redesigned him. They put, and it was little things. He no longer has shoelaces. They're just painted on shoelaces. His eyes are like stars now. Honestly, when you look at him, he looks like a cheap knockoff version of what the Philly Phanatic should be. I personally don't love it, but I also didn't love Gritty when they introduced Gritty. So maybe I'll end up liking it. It's still too new and too weird. I like how Philly really tried to like glam this thing up, and honestly, you know how like at Times Square they have the characters that are dressed up as like cartoon characters, but they're not. Like instead of Elmo, it's like Elmo or something, and it's like a cheap knockoff version. That's what the Philly Phanatic looks like. In fact, they probably used the company that made those costumes to make a Philly Phanatic knockoff costume. They at least change the name or something. Make them the Philly Fun Addict or something. Ooh, a fun addict. Can you be addicted to fun? I mean, I like fun. Okay, we're getting off topic here. With that, we're going to close out the show. So, remember to tip your waitresses. What do I always say to finish this off? Special thanks, as usual, to Johanna Drago. She did the content. She's the content editor, logo designer, and set designer for this podcast. Music you hear is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. What else? Special thanks to our social media warriors, Joe Calabro, Mary Kay Albert. Thanks for liking all our stuff and sharing it with your friends. To all our fans out there listening to us from around the globe, thank you. I really appreciate you guys listening in, tuning in. Feel free to email me, Nick Drago. What's my email? sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Again, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. By the way, if you like the sound of my voice and you want to hear more, I have another podcast. That's right. I'm not cheating on you guys because I don't talk about sports on the podcast. If you want to hear me talk, but not about sports, I have a huge brain full of knowledge on history and science. I'm technically a doctor, but I don't actually throw that out. But yeah, I am technically that. And so my good buddy and I, Jamie Grum, he's been on the show before. I used to call him the Young Gun. We started a podcast, Big Spoon, Little Spoon, random conversations for a random population. We literally pick a topic out of a hat, talk about that topic, and compare notes. It's a lot of fun, and if you want to hear me talk about something that isn't sports related, that's the way to go. Again, Big Spoon, Little Spoon. Find us on all your favorite podcasting apps. Just like this show, which, by the way, you can also find this show, along with Big Spoon, Little Spoon, on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on did I say Facebook? YouTube. Oh, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud. All right, I said them all. Make sure you like, comment, share, email, or Twitter at me. Tweet. Because I like those things, and I'd hate it if you didn't. So you should do it. You should like and share this podcast so I don't hate you. I'm just kidding. That was really aggressive, and I'm really sorry that was so aggressive. Should we tone it down? Hello, neighbor. Let's tone it down. All right, I'm done. All right. I'm going to go to sleep now. Clearly, I stopped making sense 4 hours ago. Don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This is my sports show, right? We're talking sports. Good luck to the man who burned his crotch. I hope you didn't burn it too bad and you could still use it. But I'm sure based on what I saw with that table, you're probably not using it all that much anyway. Thanks, everybody. And, of course, caca!